my blood pressure readings at doctor appointments, January 2022 to September 2024 inclusive. I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And I'm going to go through a synthesis of sorts of my blood pressure readings at doctor's appointments from January 2022 to September 2024 inclusive, including defining my normal upper and lower reading ranges for that time period. Yes, so today is Thursday, 19 September 2024, and back in January 2022, I decided to start writing down when I go into the doctor if my blood pressure is taken, kind of tracking it. And I've decided, my dad does have like a way to take blood pressure at home, and I was like, let's treat it like a sports competition. And it's not, but it's like a performance evaluation, or maybe that's right phrasing. It was like, I think what blood pressure can be affected, I think the rule of thumb is like it's about 10 points higher at the doctor's office than it is at home. I'm like, you know what, then let's just go with the doctor's office. Let's face that scary thing now and just write it down and keep track of it and kind of see what I get. And so growing up, I didn't ever have high blood pressure, though it runs in the family, or has run in the family. And so about 20 years ago, actually, 2004, I was like, I need to get on top of, there were a number of things for my family. I think the things for me to watch out for were kind of blood pressure, weight, there's some diabetes in my family history, and then kind of tied into all that is like cholesterol levels. And so towards the end of my teenage years, when I was still kind of like in K through 12 education, kindergarten through 12th grade, I kind of evened out to about 120s. On top is normal. And so jump forward to the past, I guess now over 2.5 years. And I was like, let's take a look at what it turned out to be, as I'm approximately 32 years of age now. All right, where did I grow up? Now that I'm in my 30s versus a multi-sport teenage health food eater, how am I doing now? And my blood pressure shifted down by about 25 points. And so, yeah, so looking back through my readings, I have a few in the 90s. So I had a 96/65 or 96/63 back in February 2022. That was Saturday, 19 February 2022. Let's see. Had a 97/64 on Tuesday, 30 May 2023. And then I had a few, like I had a 100/62 and back in March 2023, 101/61 back in April 2024, so that was earlier this year. And then, so that's kind of like the lower end. The higher end, and then I've had a cluster around like 106, 107 on top, even if just 2 dead points. And then towards the higher end is 110/64 in January 2022, 110/74 in February 2022. And then I think is the highest reading I've had over this 2.5 year period, and the one where the person said very good was 111/82, and that was February 2024. So and this is kind of spurred by this morning I went in and I was like, I'm not going to change my routine. So I had like, an hour before the appointment and chugging, like the same amount of caffeine as like 2/3 of a cup of coffee, and I brought it up to like, a cup and a half of coffee, kind of caffeine intake before my doctor appointment. And I had my snack, with its peanut butter and, hazelnut spread and stuff. And I was like, and I'm on my period, and I was just kind of like, whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be. Like, and I went in and I genuinely thought I was going to get like a 130 or something. And I got a 107/67. And I was like, you know what? I should stop and reflect on this, because this is I would say today is a great reading for like, I did not compromise my routine, and yeah, it might have been a little high, possibly, but like if caffeine and eating food before reading like affects the reading, then okay. But it was better than I thought. So I'm gonna go through. I did the snack right this time. Half a Fuji apple. So based on this, I'm gonna put my normal as about like 100 to, I guess for this, 107 in office. So at home that might be like 90 to 97. Though I would say my hope with this was that it actually correlates to what it would be at home. Low end would be the 96, 97 on top, and then high end would be 110 to 111 on top. So that's my normal upper and lower, or lower and upper, for this period, right, based on actual results in performance mode at the doctor's office. I think so. It's shifted down, and that matters for, let's say I have a soulmate or something who has high blood pressure and they want to bring it down into a normal range. I have that history of having done that. For me, it was over a decade journey in terms of time spent on it. I think the tracking of this and having a very set diet and exercise, though, might help make that a little faster. So thinking forwards in terms of moving in with my soulmate and or soulmates, and thinking through the format of stuff on my YouTube channel, this YouTube channel, Tanis Leonhardi, at least currently, with my multi-point body inspections, perhaps measurements is something we could add, especially if my men did have problems, and they wanted to bring theirs down. Is like, if we did something every day, do we have the ability to take quality measurements at home? Blood pressure measurements. And if we did, for me, maybe thinking about I maintain and then help them with theirs if they need to bring it down. But if we wanted to flesh stuff out and like thinking about my own family history, if I wanted to take measurements, like a daily measurement or something like that, and kind of take it as a project to work on stabilizing in my life, I do blood pressure, which is to focus on maintenance, blood sugar levels, and then cholesterol levels. There's also, and then, you know, if I have problems with anything, correct, figure out what kind of affects it for me, and work on like keeping it stable. Maintenance, once in a healthy range. And then in the past, I've tracked weight, and to a lesser extent, heartbeat or heart rate, so like beats per minute. And heart rate, beats per minute is like, normal is 70, and I tend to be below 70, not always, but tend to be even with caffeine. So I'm kind of like, and I think the lowest I've ever been in the doctor's office, even as an athlete, has been in like the 50s. So I'm like, for me, it's not, I'm just like, I'm not going for some record low. Not doing that with the other stuff either, but And then for weight, I think if I were to actually tackle this as like a big project with my soulmate, like at home, and like potentially helping them out with their training and their diet and exercise, or with their training or their food intake, or just diet and exercise in general, one that I would like to approach a bit differently would be taking weight out of it entirely and being like, I want to focus on training and these other numbers, so like blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and figure out my optimal performance. Get good numbers there. Am I getting sick? No. Good health check. Am I getting injuries? No. Good health check. Kind of like optimize them and step on the scale and see what that final number as an output is. So instead of treating it as an input into my life, be like, no, I want to see what weight actually brings me good health and good performance. So that's something like as a dream, like with my soulmate and or soulmates, that I think would be worth pursuing from my perspective. I am a little surprised by some of these numbers, like the number from today that was 106 over 67. I was just kind of like, I genuinely thought that was going to be about 30 points higher. Nope, I did shift it. So for me, that was kind of like the on my period check mark. I don't kind of compromise my routine. And some people might call it bad eating habits or bad caffeine consumption. But I'm going to take all my bad habits and put it at the bad habits and put it at and be on my period and go to the doctor's office and it's 107 over 67. So I'm doing something right. I will say my diet and like what I eat over the past even just like 15 years, so over 15 years, has changed shockingly a little. I used to, like over 15 years ago, I would get up and have like a few English muffins, like 2 English muffins and 2 frozen yogurt bars for breakfast. And I'm like, I still have a frozen yogurt bar and English muffin in the morning. Maybe not for like the first thing I wake up, but I'm like, so some things are like legit, like it's still English muffin, but the brand changed from Oral Wheat to Franz. Whoa. Okay. And then, it was I'd say perhaps the biggest like cleanup area is like I went from like cinnamon toast crunch to rice checks with sweet and low, so I've drastically reduced like my sugar intake, but I've increased my fat intake, so I don't know if that factors in, but yeah, I did it, so that's kind of cool. And it'd be cool to do, like, if that was something, a project that we wanted to take on at home, if I'm living with my soulmate and or soulmates, maybe they would put that, if they wanted, I've shown the maintenance journey a little bit, maybe they show bringing it down on their YouTube channel or something, and it's something we work on together. That might be kind of cool for the platform. I don't know. But there we go. That's all my blood pressure readings at doctor appointments January 2022 to September 2024. With actual numbers that I actually got at performance level in the doctor's office. So there we go. Thank you for joining me.